Morning, Birmingham, and a happy Friday to you. A happy wet Friday. It's going to be a bit moist coming up in just about an hour. Rain will work its way into the edge of our listening area. And that is going to be some severe storms this morning, actually.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Y'all get ready.
Once it starts, it's not really going to slow down or stop until possibly tomorrow morning. It looks like it rain all day, on and off, but, mostly on. And it'll slack off, and then it'll get a little worse, and then it'll slack off and get a little, you know how these rainstorms are. So be prepared for that, some thunder, some lightning, all that good stuff is going to be happening today. We got a high today of 68, which is kind of where we are right now. We're about 65, 66, depending on where you are in the listening area. So the temperature's not going to change much tomorrow. Looks to be about the same. Rain moves out in the morning. And we're looking at it could be as late as noon tomorrow, they're talking about, right?
Yeah, some rain in the morning, and if nothing else, we're going to have cloudy skies. And maybe late in the day we get a tiny little break and some sunshine, but don't count on it.
Still high 60s, but Sunday then we are looking at 40s, 47 or so. With
That's kind of chilly.
gusty winds.
Yeah, up to 30 miles per hour. Careful of that.
Stay up late, watch that game last night?
First half. I stayed up to the first half, and
You
then
and
I
me
was
both.
like, nah,
Yeah.
I got to call it here. But I did do the little recap video this morning,
Nice,
so I
nice.
was able to see that. And man, oh man, what a back and forth game, huh?
Oh, man, Carson Beck, a white boy with wheels. I still think he's either got one chromosome too many or not enough. I'm not sure.
What it
Time I see
is.
him, but he knows how to play the game. He's 6'4". He can see the whole field. He's got some laser-like precision with those passes. He's quick on his feet. The guy is, if this isn't a big middle finger to Georgia for you let me go. That was a mistake on your
It
part.
sure was.
You
And
could have been here.
sometimes it depends upon, what works best with players. And, maybe he just wasn't fit for that. And obviously he's excelling now with the Miami Hurricanes. So congratulations to them. And congratulations for Ole Miss. I mean, they made it this far.
Yeah.
They played a tough game against
good
the
game.
Miami Hurricanes. And that's an exciting playoff game. That was really, really good last
Most
night.
importantly, Lane Kiffin gets no bonus money. That's what I really like about
Ooh.
that.
Ooh.
The fact that he's not collecting a check. So,
Ow.
yeah.
We feel really bad for him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, terrible.
All those millions he's going to make
So sad.
at LSU.
Tonight, of course, we've got the Oregon Ducks and the Indiana Hoosiers. Hoosiers and Ducks.
Could be another very interesting game. We shall
Hoosier
see.
Ducky. We will see what happens there. I hesitate to root for either side, to be honest. I think I want the same thing I wanted last night, which is a good game.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I can tell you this. Whoever wins this will certainly deserve to be in the championship because that was a tight one. I really feel like they, and we'll talk about this more when Molly Robinson shows up in about 2.5 hours, but the flotsam and jetsam, the wheat and the chaff were separated early on. You got rid of the teams that weren't supposed to be there. And then in the next round, got rid of more, and sadly, Alabama was one of them, but obviously they could not hold their own and consequently got left by the wayside. And now we're at that stage where we should be, which is these games are tight. These are two very well, evenly matched teams. And this is what you want. The last thing you want in your national championship game is a blowout.
Yeah, I hate those.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate those. And that's why last night was great. I hope tonight's game between Indiana and Oregon is just as close.
Well, that's why the playoff works so well. I mean, I'm thinking back to, I want to say it was 2006, maybe early 2007 probably, when I think it was Ohio State and Florida. And Ohio State took the opening kickoff and scored immediately. And people thought, well, that's it. That was the last time Ohio State saw the end zone. Florida continued throughout that game to wallop them. And that was one of those sort of we're just sort of randomly going to think these two are the best teams, and we're just going to throw them together and call this a national championship. That does not work. What we're doing right now, this works, and it makes me very happy.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting. And I said to you before we got on the air this morning, forgetting where the national championship is going to be played, which is the Hard Rock Stadium down in Miami. I was like, oh, my gosh, Miami Hurricanes are going to be on their home field.
Home team advantage.
With all their fans and everything else. But, either way, I'm excited to see what we've got. And 4 teams that made it to the playoffs to this far that you were like, no, they're never going to, that looking at their seasons other than Indiana.
Yeah.
you're just like, wow. So, kind of all the way around a bit of a Cinderella story, whoever ends up winning.
I love it. Winding.
Yeah,
Whatever.
winding.
That works too.
They might be winded.
I'm excited to see what's going on at Flipsy's new location in Hoover, which is next to 2nd and Charles. They're right there on Highway 31. They're between 2nd and Charles and Ollie's. And if you haven't been there, you should definitely drop by. It's a different kind of store. Look, Hoover is, they're both Flipsy's. Flipsy's in Irondale, Flipsy's in Hoover. The Hoover store is going to be slightly different. It's going to be a little more Hoover-centric, right? So stop by both locations and see if what they have there is exactly what you're looking for. I can tell you that both locations have got qualified salespeople that do not hover. Both locations have got 12 months same as cash. Both locations offer that same white glove delivery and fantastic designer furniture at wholesale prices. You're going to find a great deal no matter where you shop at Flipsy's. Flipsy'sFurniture.com. Flipsy'sFurniture.com, the place to go to find out more about it. But then, if you really want to get a good long look, 1811 Crestwood Boulevard in Irondale or on Highway 31 next to 2nd and Charles in Hoover, it's Flipsy's Furniture. Let's do this.
And now, it's Dixon and Vining's top 3 things you need to know.
President Trump has canceled the second wave of attacks against Venezuela. He says their cooperation is great. They don't feel the need to go snatch and grab any of the other leaders of that particular country since they have decided to go along and get along. He also says, by the way, we could be involved with them for years. We might be taking their oil and selling it for years and years and years.
Well, let's not do years and years and years.
Yeah,
I know it takes a little time to correct all the mess that Maduro has made over all these years, but let's chop. Let's get this done and get Venezuela back on their feet and let them handle all of this.
I agree. I do believe that we're handling it correctly, by the way, keeping some stability in the region. But then if you have free and fair elections and the people of Venezuela feel like they chose their own leader, completely outside of any foreign influence or local influence, then it's going to be a much better leadership situation, and Venezuela can rebuild itself from there. In the meantime, though, they owe us.
Big time.
They owe us. We want that money.
Yep.
Trump administration sending more border patrol agents to Minnesota, as I suggested the other day.
They need to.
Yeah, I said they should triple the number, but they're only adding 100 more. They're bringing them in from Chicago and from New Orleans. They said, let's just go ahead and we'll kind of reduce the number in those areas, and we'll send those up to Minnesota, which is where the problem is. Now, you've got a couple of different situations here. Number one is you've got Border Patrol agents, you've got ICE agents who are picking up illegal immigrants. Some of them are Somalians, some of them are Hispanic, some of them are from South America, whatever. And then you've got some ICE agents who are responsible for keeping the crowds at bay, those that show up and blow whistles and whatnot, because obstructing a federal law enforcement officer in him performing his duties, or her, is against the law. And so some of these people are being arrested. Now, you can't just peel people off the line who are supposed to be going out and picking up illegal immigrants and have them go arrest the people who are protesting because, well, then you'll never get the job done,
Exactly.
And that's kind of what the protesters want is, well, if they're busy with us, then they can't go do their job. So bringing an extra 100 Border Patrol agents in and saying, you guys, you're in charge of crowd control. You go get these people that are disrupting this situation and throw them in paddy wagons and take them away, and eventually people will get tired of being taken away.
And it also feels like some, especially with this shooting that happened, the 37-year-old woman, who when you start to peel back some of the history of this lady, this is what she's been doing.
Oh, yeah.
She's been going and learning how to do this and how to be a protester, how to use her vehicle. I mean, come on, do y'all not have something better to do with your time? These ICE agents and these Border Patrol agents are trying to make our country more safe so that you're safe as well. And why you're working against that is just beyond me. So, let's think about, how we help them, how we assist them. Instead of at every turn that you possibly can, get in their way, obstruct what they're doing, and then you end up putting your own life on the line. And that's what this woman did. And she was completely in the wrong. And then we had 2 more people shot. This was in Portland, Oregon, by Border Patrol because, once again, they used their vehicle to, weaponize it to hit Border Patrol agents. And so they used their weapon because they're using their weapon as a car. So they were in the right again.
Yeah, so often it's just a question of if Trump is doing it, then it must be bad. Barack Obama has he actually ejected far more people from the country, deported far more people than Donald Trump has thus far, and nobody really felt the need to protest that.
No, no one did.
Strange.
It is strange.
Bad news on the Russia-Ukraine front. Russia has rejected the Trump plan. That was a 20-point plan that Russia sort of rejected out of hand. Ukraine was on board with it, and I thought, well, the fact that Ukraine's on board with this is enough to make you think Russia ain't going to like this at all, and sure enough, they don't. And they said, no, we're not doing that. Again, you have to remember, Vladimir Putin he's got a lot of cannon fodder. He can throw as many people as he wants at this war. He doesn't seem to care much about public opinion, even though Russia is getting tired. Rank-and-file Russians are getting tired of this. He doesn't seem to care about that. And they're largely winning, aside from a little section of Russia that Ukraine has taken. Russia hasn't really paid a price for this as a country. There's been economic sanctions and so on and so forth, but they've withstood them fairly well. People who are in Russia are saying, you know what, we don't feel it. This is supposed to be causing us economic pain, it ain't working. So I guess he's going to keep going until he finds reason to stop. And that seems to be the biggest problem here, is that Donald Trump and company have not yet come up with a good way to make Vladimir Putin stop. They haven't either made it painful enough for him to keep going or reward enough to stop. And until they do, he's going to keep going.
Yeah, and again, this is why it is so important to have somebody leading our country to show power, and that was under Joe Biden that Vladimir Putin decided to go into Ukraine. And it's really difficult because now what Donald Trump is doing is cleaning up the mess that Joe Biden could have prevented, but he wasn't a strong enough president to say to Vladimir Putin, you're not going into Ukraine. Had it been Donald Trump, I think that we wouldn't be seeing Russia in Ukraine. It would be a totally different picture.
You might say that, but at the same time, Donald Trump has not yet come up with the answer to stop this war.
No, but again, it's a little more difficult once you've got your tanks and your military and your men in there who are fighting against Ukraine, trying to take that land to get them out. Because, Vladimir Putin is going, okay, so what are you going to do to me, Donald Trump? What are you going to do to me, U.S.?
The die is cast.
And again, we have to be very careful. That's a very difficult chess game there.
Indeed.
So thank you, Joe Biden, for putting us in this position, because this is why we are where we are at.
ProLift Doors, ProLiftDoors.com, 286-9727. You got a garage door problem, these are the guys you want to call. They work on all makes and models. They can do emergency service if that's what you need. When you push that button and the door don't go up, it could be any number of things, and you can go ahead and spend the whole day trying to figure out which one of the many things it is, or you can call ProLift and get it done pronto. 286-9727, whether you use emergency service or whether you just have them put you on the schedule wherever you'll fit. That costs a little less, of course. ProLift can handle it for you. Again, they work on all makes and models. They've got qualified people wearing fabulous uniforms, so if somebody shows up and they're in a truck with no name on the side and they don't have a ProLift uniform on, you can guess that it ain't them. Somebody's trying to snow you. Don't buy into that. Call ProLift Garage Doors, 286-9727. When your garage door lets you down, get an uplifting experience from ProLift Garage Doors, ProLiftDoors.com.
624, Dixon and Vining. Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Thank you for being with us this morning. And yes, we just heard Phil say, and many of you stuck in it, 2059 southbound just past the Roebuck Parkway. Cars are at a complete standstill. It is we're looking at video and it's just shut down. So if you're sitting in it, we're so sorry we didn't catch you earlier before you got up on 2059, but we'll let you know just as soon as that gets open. But avoid it this morning. Find another way around it if you're coming into downtown Birmingham. That's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, boy.
Be Dry, Alabama. Let me tell you something. This is the day where all that rain, if you've got any issues around your home, it's cracking in the foundation or water somehow is making its way, I don't know, maybe the garage floor, the basement, anywhere around your home where you're seeing any kind of moisture, it's not supposed to be there. No, it stays outside. Outside. And if you are dealing with these issues, call my good friend David Fevitt. What a wonderful guy, and his business, Be Dry. You guys will love dealing with these guys because they know what they're doing, and they'll get it done right the very first time. That's what you want. Seal up those areas, waterproofing across the crawl space or basement so you don't have to deal with this anymore. Isn't it nice to know that you've got somebody like this right here in Birmingham, in business for over 60 years? That says everything, folks. Trust these guys that they're going to get it done and get it done right. The pros at Be Dry know how to do it. Cracking in the foundation, waterproofing. Call 205-942-1976 to get a free quote, or just get them out to your house and show them what you're seeing, and then let them dig around a little further and see what's going on, and let's get it fixed. BeDryAlabama.com or 942-1976.
Republican Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida.
Does she deserve a
It just every time I think
Paulina.
Anna Paulina Luna.
I know.
It comes across like
sounds like a book or something.
Una Paloma Blanca, which is a Slim Whitman tune.
Yeah.
One White Dove, right?
Okay, yeah. That works.
It's got the same cadence to it. Anna Paulina Luna. Anyway, she has referred the Democratic governor and attorney general in Minnesota to the Department of Justice for criminal charges. She said, based on testimony today, I have enough evidence to believe both Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison were knowingly complicit in a Somali fraud scheme in Minnesota. Now, you don't have to actually be complicit in terms of I'm helping this happen.
But you knew of it.
Yeah,
you
can simply be
it.
like, I saw it happening and I didn't do anything to stop it. Yeah, that's basically as bad, according to the law. This sort of brings up the fact that, and I hate to say this out loud, but, you know, it's the Democrats and notably a former mayor of Chicago who said at one point, never let a good crisis go to waste. And this shooting in Minnesota is exactly the kind of crisis
that Tim Walz has been looking for.
Tim Walz and Keith Ellison are going to ride this thing because their hope is that they can sweep this Somali stuff under the rug and they could be like, we're standing tough against the Trump administration. No, I don't think it's going to work. I think most of America looks at what took place here with this shooting and said, at the very least, she should not have been there.
Right.
She shouldn't have been in that location at that time. Had she not been blocking the road with her car, had she not been attempting to obstruct Border Patrol agents and ICE agents in the carrying out of their duties, she'd be alive today, and her 6-year-old son would have a mother. You know, and that's not what happened because she decided that she was going to insert herself into a situation and become difficult and then attempt to hit somebody with her car. And you can dispute that all you want, but she did actually hit him with the car. You can see on video where she actually hit him with the SUV, okay? So there's not really a question about whether or not that's what she was aiming for. She did it.
She knew exactly what she was doing.
So their hope is that this will distract from the $9 billion in Somalian fraud that took place in Minnesota, and they can kind of cover that up and sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen.
This story is way too big for that. Even with this shooting, there's no way that this is going away. The fraud is too huge, and it's not just there in Minnesota. It's in other places across the country. So this story is not going away.
No.
It's just not. Just give it time because you got investigators in there now digging even deeper.
Yeah, the shooting will fall by the wayside over the course of the next couple of weeks. The Somali fraud story is going to continue for months on end, maybe into next year, because that's how big this thing is. It's going to be difficult to wrap your hands and your brain around by the time it's all over. And when you talk about Somalian immigrants who can't even speak English, driving around in Lamborghinis, bought with money that was supposed to go feed starving children, that's a story America looks at and goes, I don't care for that.
Sending it overseas, too.
Yeah.
How about that?
What?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Back in a moment. 635, Talk 99.5, Talk995.com. Thanks for hanging out with us on this soon-to-be wet Friday. It's going to be a bit moist here in the not-too-distant future. People love that word moist. They use it all the time.
I don't think they care for it at all,
You don't think
Richard,
so?
especially on a Friday.
Damp?
Rain.
Is damp okay?
Wet.
Yeah?
Just wet.
All right. Wet's good,
Soaking.
too. All right.
Wet.
We're going to be wet. We're going to be very, very wet. Very, very incredibly wet. Probably wetter than anybody's ever seen before.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about how wet it's
A lot of rain. Yeah, it's all back to our west, and some of it already in northwest Alabama, but it's slowly making its way here. And sometime after 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we're going to have a lot of rain.
A lot of rain.
Lot of it.
A lot of rain. Incredible amounts of rain. Car repossessions were up 43% between 2022 and 2024. An estimated 3.2 million cars.
Wow.
That according to Bankrate, citing data from Cox Automotive. Shannon Martin, an insurance expert with Bankrate, said the increase is largely tied to how expensive both new and used vehicles have become.
It's so true.
Average monthly payment for a new car now sits around $700, while used car payments average about $500 a month. Last new car, was that the last new car? Last new car I bought was a 2002 Cadillac Escalade. It was the first of the new body styles on the ground in Alabama. Okay.
Very nice.
It was actually a program car. The guys at Tom Williams, remember Tom Williams?
I do.
Had been driving it for a while, so it had, I don't remember, 14,000 miles on it or something like that. And the payments on that were $600 a month, and I thought,
Oh,
that seems burdensome.
yeah, that sounds.
I'm not sure I'm going to be able to
nearing
pull that
mortgage
off.
level, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In that year.
At that time, it was
At that
like
time, I was like, whoa,
my
this
previous mortgage on my house had been $525 the year before.
There you go.
And the car, by the way, the SUV actually was $47,000, the exact price of my previous house. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of money. I managed to pull it off for a couple of years. Just got tired of the vehicle. It was in the shop more often than it was in my driveway.
That's a fairly new car.
It was brand
Wow.
spanking. This taught me don't buy the first of anything.
Yeah.
Don't buy the first new anything on the ground. It's a bad idea. And even though they'd be like, you get a loaner car, you're okay, Mr. Dixon. You bring it in and you drive this other vehicle
You
for a
shouldn't
couple
have
of
to.
years.
It had 14,000 miles when you bought
You
it.
just get tired of it.
Yeah.
And so I went and traded it in on a Ford Expedition NBX, which was a sport version, which I'd never seen before. I still haven't seen one since, but it was a great vehicle. I loved it. But $600 a month was just, it
That's a
seemed
lot.
untenable.
Yeah.
It's now $700, and we're talking about not a Lexus, not a
Just your-
not an Infiniti. This is a Honda for $700 a month. This is a Toyota Tundra for $700 a month. Used vehicles are averaging about $500 a month.
That sounds about right.
Not
And,
mine, but,
again,
yeah.
through the pandemic, through everything that happened, and we kind of experienced that there weren't any cars. There were no new cars, so everybody was buying all the used cars. Well, the inventory has gotten a little bit better, but the prices are still sky high on both sides.
Yep.
Whether you buy new used or you buy a brand new car off the lot, man, you better get to the bank and get your loan and all your finances together, because it is pricey.
A lot of it is what the market will bear. I mean, how much can we charge for these things? I'm not saying the automotive companies are becoming phenomenally wealthy, but if you find out that people are willing to pay $700 a month for a car, then that's how much it's going to cost. It's going to cost $700 a month, So what I find fascinating about this is that when you go and you get your financing, those people are responsible for checking to see whether or not you can afford this.
Mm-hmm.
A
A lot of times they do, but then you have that guy that's not looking for that rainy day, that emergency day, and now all of a sudden that $700 car payment you've got, you're like, well, I can't pay that. I've got this other emergency at the house, and
Yes.
I have no money for that. Well, Mr. Repo Man's going to come along and load that thing up, and down the road it goes.
Yeah, they say that some repos take place in as short as 30 days.
I don't doubt it.
Mostly it's 90 to 120. You have to go, a couple of months without paying before they generally say, all right, we're going to come get the car, And sometimes people will turn it in voluntarily and just be like, sorry, here's the keys. Other times they actually have to go and, send the repo guy out, get the tow truck or whatever, and get the car out of there. But a lot of times, if, for instance, you haven't paid in 60 days, they'll get in touch with you and be like, can we work something out?
Sometimes.
Because the reality is they'd rather have the money than your used car, because now it's a used car. And they can try to take you to court, and they can do all kinds of other stuff with you for the fact that you didn't pay. But in reality, if they can work something out, in most cases, they would prefer to do that.
Yeah, and it's also a good, I mean, again, there are plenty of used vehicles out there. You might have to get one with more miles than you're comfortable with.
Sure.
But you got to figure out your budget and what you can afford and what you can't, because the last thing you want is this guy to show up and repossess your car. Now you got nowhere. Now you don't have a way to get around. Those are your wheels.
That's why America's about to become a Kia nation. We're about to all be driving Kia Sorrentos.
Hyundai. Hyundai, I'm telling you, they're doing a pretty good job here in Alabama.
Yeah.
Those vehicles, if you've not seen some of these that they're right now building, they're really stepping up their game.
Well, and that's sort of sad, because there was a time when you had lower-end cars. You had the Kia, you had the Hyundai, and you knew that those were lower-end cars that you could afford. It was a good starter car, you know?
It's a great, yeah.
Waiting for the reintroduction of the Yugo.
Bring it.
If you can build it well and it's not going to break down on you, then
Sure.
you might have some success.
Well, it'd be nice if we actually had a lower-end car that you could use as kind of a starter car to get into, and that used to be the case. And I think it was when the Hyundai Genesis came out, and I was like, oh, Hyundai's building a luxury car?
Uh-huh.
That's it. It's over. You know, like that's the end of the lower-end car. And then they started offering like 100,000-mile warranties, and I'm like, okay, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to compete with the big boys here, but there's a market for a lower-end new car, and it used to be. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Steve. Chevy used to be kind of a lower-end car, right?
Chevy, yeah, they had entry-level cars like the Cavalier, and
Right.
before that the Chevette and the Citation, which both of them were junk.
Which
but
makes
that's not the point.
which makes sense for somebody that's 20-something trying to get their feet under them, that
Right.
you have the ability to purchase a car that, again, isn't going to break down on you, and you can afford the monthly payments.
What do we have now? Like the Mazda 3?
That's
Yeah.
really it, because if you look at Chevrolet and Ford and certainly Stellantis, because Chrysler and Dodge are pretty much out of the car business except for higher end stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, you
You
got
go
to
back,
go
maybe the Honda Civic?
Toyota,
Yeah.
Mazda, Nissan, something like that to find those entry level
The
cars.
Nissan Altima, that's
Mm-hmm.
a huge seller that was at one time, I guess, fairly reasonable. Now a new one is probably a lot more expensive. I hadn't priced it, but
I really don't know. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I'm going to say 10, 12 years ago. You could walk onto a car lot with $14,000 and drive off with a new car. It wasn't going to be a very good new car, but you could drive off with a new car for less than $16,000, tax tag, title, out the door. I don't think you could do it for less than 30 now. I mean,
it'd
I
be
really
really
don't.
tough. Yeah, it really would. If you're talking a new vehicle, yeah, that good luck finding that.
There are a couple of cars, Ford's Maverick pickup truck, you can get,
Yeah.
depending on how you equip it.
Yes, yes.
You might get it for less than 30. Chevy has that little SUV called the Trax, which you might be able to get for less than 30, again, depending on how you equip it.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're scratching hard
Maybe
to
a
try and find
Subaru?
something under 30.
Subaru's got a.
I thought Subaru
The
was kind
Outback.
of costly.
They're showing 29,000,
Okay.
maybe close to 30.
I was
right at it.
looking at one of those Mavericks, as a matter of fact, when I ended up buying my Ram, and it just wasn't big enough to do what I needed it to do. I was like, I need something that's more intimidating than this on the interstate. That's what I'm looking for, is something that will scare people when you come at them. It didn't do the job, but it is gorgeous, by the way, and it's nice to see that those Mavericks have finally loosened up and they're starting to sell, because the horror stories, especially during the pandemic, of people who were putting like $500 down on this incoming Maverick, and then it never showed up, and
Yeah.
it never showed up, and it never showed up, and then they're like, all right, we're just keeping your $500. You're like, wait, whoa, hey, what?
Please don't.
I don't get the car, and I don't get my $500 back? What's going on here? Something funny. Anyway, they're out there now. The long and short of it is this, and Valerie just hit the nail on the head. When you start looking at purchasing a car and you start looking at the monthly payment, take that rainy day into account.
Absolutely.
Take that crisis moment, that time when suddenly there's a big doctor bill, or that moment when something goes wrong at the house and you have to pay a plumber or an HVAC guy, or in my case, septic tank people, a lot of money. Will you still be able to make that car payment?
Yeah. And if people get into trouble, too, with housing, because you can qualify for a whole lot more house then and people go, oh, well, I can have that much bigger house. Let's get that, honey. And then
Yeah.
the monthly payment, the mortgage payment's coming in. And you're like, we can't afford anything else. We can't afford
Yeah.
another car. Kids educate. You're like, nah, you're in over your head.
There is a thought process, though, when it comes to houses, and I don't know if it's still true, but I'll never forget touring the Christmas lights in a very expensive section of Prattville called Quail Run. Beautiful, really high-end houses. And my father-in-law stopped in front of this one house, and he said, we almost bought that house when we first moved here. And that had been, 25 years before. And my now ex is like, why didn't you buy that house? I mean, that's a gorgeous house. That's a huge house. It's beautiful. And he said, because the mortgage payment was $280 a month, and we didn't think we could afford it. Now, think about that.
Yeah.
They always say buy more house than you think you can afford, because at some point, that payment's going to seem really tiny compared to, now it seems overwhelming. In 15 years, it's going to be like, blip on the radar.
Yeah, if things go your way.
If things exactly.
Yeah. So it doesn't always work that way.
gotta
So
be-
if you want to roll the dice that way, you
Yeah.
go right ahead.
Well, I remember talking to my mom and dad from when we moved down here in '73, and they bought a house in Bluff Park. Nice house, not quite an acre of land, split level, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, the whole thing. And the price that my dad got with the VA hospital loan thing that he qualified for, the total price for the house was about $33,000.
Wow.
That house just sold a couple of years ago for just shy of $400,000.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah. When I tell people my house payment, which I'm not telling you right now, but when I tell people my house payment, their eyes bug out. They're just like, I'm like, I bought it in 2020, man. I bought it in 2020. I got a great low rate.
Same thing when I bought mine in 2012.
Yeah.
Not only the rate, but the monthly mortgage was just
Golden.
It was dirt cheap.
Absolutely golden. You couldn't blast me out of this house with dynamite. I am going to die in that house, possibly this weekend, depending on how things go. 6:47.
No, not this weekend. I need you here.
Okay, I'll try to stick around.
Time. Think what I'm of me.
Susanna Hoffs brought this song to the Bengals after hearing the Simon and Garfunkel version. Said she thought it'd be a great song. They said we need an excuse to do it. Like, we can't just break this song out for no good reason at all. We don't really do covers. Come on, what are you doing? And then Less Than Zero, the movie, was being made, and they asked the Bengals for a tune for the soundtrack. And
here you go.
They said, how about this one?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of those few songs that falls into, for me, the category of covers that are better than the original. I prefer this version to the Simon and Garfunkel version. I love Simon and Garfunkel, don't get me wrong, but because this one's got a little more smack and pop to it. 6:54, Dixon and Vining, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Thanks for tuning in. We're also on TV sometimes. YouTube.com, Real Talk 995 TV. That was my way of telling Steve to put us on TV. And now joining us on the phone line where we interview people for the first time in 2026. It's been 2 long weeks since we've had her on the show. Say hello to Debbie Schlussel. Hello, Debbie Schlussel.
Hi, good morning, and Happy New Year to everybody. Susanna Hoffs was in that one movie, The All-Nighter.
Yep.
That was supposed to be her breakout into the movies, and my friend played her love interest in that movie. The movie was directed by her mother, Tamara.
Correct.
But it didn't go anywhere. But she looks great in her mid-60s.
She really does.
She looks terrific.
I follow her on Instagram.
Yeah. So at the movies this weekend, I always say that August is the movie pet cemetery of movies where bad movies are sent to die a quick death. January is like the second in line for that, and there are a lot of bad movies in January, but there are some okay ones. There are some that just, I had to cover my face. And I'll start with that one. So one of the new movies this weekend is Primate. And this family, the father's this rich author. He has this fancy house atop a mountain cliff in Hawaii on the ocean. And they have a pet primate, a pet chimp, who's very smart, that they have taught to learn languages and can understand English and sign language. But then the monkey gets bitten by a rabid mongoose.
Oh, no.
No.
What could go wrong? So the whole rest of the movie, they're trying to escape this monkey. Now, I knew I didn't want to see this movie because I was thinking back to the woman with the first successful face transplant.
Yes.
And that story, and I was thinking there's going to be a lot of that, and there was.
Oh.
So I covered my face a lot in this movie. It is very suspenseful. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It's very, very scary and all of that, but it's so gross. So I had to cover my face a lot in this movie. You probably will too. It's kind of terrifying. But if you're into that, then this is your movie. It's definitely a popcorn movie, but super scary. Wasn't for me. The primate.
Hey, Debbie, can I ask you this? Did they maybe get the storyline from that lady that got attacked? Do we know that?
It might be.
Yeah.
I don't know, but there is a lot of that. It's gross.
Ooh.
It's very violent.
Yikes.
A lot of girls trying to escape the monkey. Then there is the movie Greenland 2, and this takes place 5 years after the movie Greenland 1 that stars Gerard Butler and Marina Baccarin as a couple who they and their family were escaping the comet. And at the end of the movie, it's kind of uplifting because they make it to Greenland along with the select few who make it there, and a lot of the rest of the world is destroyed. So 5 years later, they're underground. They tell you what's happened, but then all of a sudden things are going bad in Greenland, and they have to get out of there. And the rest of the movie is they've escaped there and trying to get to England and what happens and who has survived in the world. Now, this movie was very dark. It is very thrilling and suspenseful the whole time. If you like these apocalyptic movies, which I do, although this was very dark and it's very hopeless throughout the movie. There is an uplifting end, so there is a good payoff, or there is somewhat of a payoff. But I found it kind of dark. It's a lot more intense to me than the first one, which was very intense. But if you're looking for a popcorn adventure movie, this is your movie. It was entertaining. I wasn't bored. It wasn't slow. All right, then there is this thing on. I hated this movie. This stars Will Arnett and the really boring and overrated and mediocre, in my opinion, Laura Dern as this couple that are having marital distress. They're divorcing, and he decides to go to become a stand-up comic. And I'm sorry, but this whole movie, his jokes are not funny. He's just an angry guy that's about to be divorced. And then they're trying to have sex. I just hated this movie. It's written and directed by Bradley Cooper, who has a few cameos in it. He's just a stupid character. The movie is stupid. Skip it. It's long, slow, and boring. I'll get to the rest next week.
All righty then. Yeah, I saw the trailer for that Will Arnett movie, and I just thought, no, I'm voting no on that. But just based on the 2.5 minutes I just watched, I'm voting no on that.
You wouldn't give it 2 hours and 4 minutes, the length of it?
I think not.
No, okay.
Thank you.
I give it
And
2
it
minutes.
feels like
That was
5
enough.
hours.
Yeah,
and 4
it
minutes.
feels like 5 hours. That's always good. Thank you, Debbie. Have a great weekend, and we'll do it again next Friday.
Have a great weekend.
Thank
All
you, you
take
too,
care.
Debbie.
Debbie's social, DebbieDoesPolitics.com, DebbieDoesMovies.com. Check her stuff out on the web there. Yeah, January is kind of where movies
Kinda
go to die.
dies.
It's tough to find a good movie, which is sad because this is the time you kind of want to be in a movie theater warm with popcorn.
Right. We didn't have a lot in December either.
No.
Yeah, it was kind of a dud.
Movies suck now.